Welcome to Copilot Podcasts. Imagine being so young that you can't stay up late enough to listen to the radio show that's about to change your life. Today, we're diving into the remarkable story of Maldwyn Pope before he became the voice of Fireman Sam, a tale of prodigious talent, family support, and an incredible stroke of luck that led to Elton John's record label.
You know, it's fascinating how this story begins in the most unexpected place, a small Welsh town called Bryn Hyfryd, Swansea, in 1960.
What was it about this particular place that shaped his early years?
Well, Maldwyn was born into this incredibly musical family. His mother and grandmother were both pianists, and his grandmother, Mildwyn, was this amazing organist, despite being just over 5 feet tall.
Oh, really? Tell me more about his grandmother.
One of Maldwyn's earliest memories is watching her feet literally dancing across the organ pedals as she practiced for church events. And get this, his great-grandfather was actually a chapel orchestra conductor who made quite a name for himself as a hymn writer.
So music was literally in his DNA then?
Absolutely. But here's where it gets really interesting. The Gospel Hall in Manselton, where he grew up, had this unique rule: no musical instruments on Sunday mornings.
Wait, what? No instruments at all?
Nope. The reasoning was that playing an instrument would interrupt the worship experience for the player. Instead, everyone sang in harmony, not unison, but actual harmony.
That's actually pretty incredible for a young kid to grow up in that environment.
It really was. And it shaped his entire approach to music. But everything changed in 1967 when his older brother David went on a school trip to Spain.
What happened in Spain?
David came back with a guitar, and young Maldwyn would secretly borrow it when his brother wasn't around. He'd listen to David's record collection, Cat Stevens, Simon and Garfunkel, Donovan, and try to play along.
So that's how he got started with the guitar at age 7?
Exactly. And within 2 years, he was already writing his own songs. But here's where his school played a crucial role.
How so?
There was this teacher, Peter Williams. He played the bongos, and he would make Maldwyn perform his songs in front of the whole school at every opportunity.
That must have been quite the confidence builder.
It really was. And their band practices were just a few kids sitting with this teacher, learning songs by Ralph McTell and the Beatles.
But the real turning point came through a church youth group, right?
Yes. Though he was technically too young to attend, they'd let him come if he played his songs. And that's where he met Mike Nicholson, who made a suggestion that would change everything.
What was the suggestion?
Mike suggested that Maldwyn send a tape of his songs to John Peel on BBC Radio 1. Now here's the funny part. Maldwyn had no idea who John Peel was because the show started at 10 p.m., way past his bedtime.
That's actually hilarious, sending a tape to someone you've never even heard of.
Right? But he did it anyway, and a few weeks later, a letter arrived that would change his life forever.
What did the letter say?
Well, John Peel invited him to perform at the BBC. So there he was, dressed in a new suit, accompanied by his brothers David and Gareth.
And Peel really believed in him, didn't he?
Absolutely. He promoted the session for weeks and even contacted his friends personally to make sure they listened. This was July 10th, 1973.
And then something even bigger happened, right?
Yes, just 6 weeks after that first Radio 1 Top Gear session, Maldwyn signed with Elton John's newly formed Rocket Record Company.
But his parents had to agree to this, right? I mean, he was so young.
Here's the fascinating part. They agreed because the managing director, Steve Brown, had been brought up in the Salvation Army. That was literally all they needed to know.
Talk about different times. So, what happened with the record?
Well, there's actually quite a bittersweet twist here. They started recording the album in October 1973, but by the summer of 1974, nature had taken its course. Maldwyn's voice broke.
Oh no. So what did they do?
They had to shelve the album and start again. But you know what's amazing? Recently, in 2023, Mal got in touch with Elton John about those old tapes.
And what did Elton say?
Not only did he give Mal the tapes back, but he also returned all the rights to the songs. It's being released as Rocket Boy for Mal's Golden Jubilee.
That's incredible. But let's go back to his early development. How did he progress from there?
Well, he went on to study at Christ's College, Cambridge, spending his holidays recording in London.
Quite the academic achiever too, then?
Absolutely. After Cambridge, he moved to London and signed with Harvey Goldsmith's management company, AMP.
And then his career really started taking off, right?
Yes, by 1982, he was working for BBC Radio Wales in Cardiff as a researcher, and then signed another record deal with Larry Page.
He worked with some pretty big names too, didn't he?
Oh yeah, he wrote songs for Cliff Richard and the Hollies, duet with Boney Tyler and Ail Jones, and even toured with Art Garfunkel and Belinda Carlisle.
That's quite a journey from singing in that gospel hall in Manselton.
It really is. And you know what's remarkable? All of this happened before he became known as the voice of Fireman Sam in 1987.
Speaking of which, he did that in both English and Welsh, right?
Exactly. And it wasn't just Fireman Sam. He went on to sing theme songs for other shows like Satellite City in 1988 and Joshua Jones in 1991.
It's amazing how his early musical training prepared him for all of this.
That's what's so fascinating about his story. Everything from those harmony-only church services to borrowing his brother's guitar played a part in shaping his career.
And he's still active in music today, isn't he?
Very much so. He's continued to be a significant figure in Welsh music and culture, even serving as president of the Welsh male voice choir Gwalia Singers from 2005 to 2010.
What strikes me most about this story is how organic it all was, from church singing to international success.
And it all started with a kid who was too young to stay up and listen to John Peel.
It really shows how sometimes the best opportunities come when you least expect them.
And how important it is to take those chances, even if you don't fully understand them at the time.
Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode of Copilot Podcasts. From borrowed guitars to Elton John's record label, Maldwyn Pope's early journey shows that talent knows no age limit.
And sometimes the most life-changing opportunities come after your bedtime.